Hi, my name's Chris Lose. Thank you so much for joining us for this year's 2024 Conversations with the Candidates. This was a show originally created by Mr. Ralph Walker. It was created with the intention of us Monrovians here in the community getting to know our candidates beyond just the mailer or the sign you might see while driving down Foothill or Huntington. Each candidate's gonna get 30 minutes, so we're gonna get to know who they are and a little bit more about them. I would like at this time to introduce our current mayor, Ms. Becky Shevlin.
Hi, Chris. Glad to be with you today.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And thank you for doing what you do. This is a public position and it is of service. I see you at events constantly throughout the city, and it is beyond a normal gig, if you would.
It does take a lot of commitment, let's put it that way.
Yes, so
But
thank
it is
you.
it's passion. I truly enjoy it.
Cool. Look, so before we jump in, for the person who might have just moved here to Monrovia, tell us about yourself. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
Oh, okay. Well, I was born actually in Alamogordo, New Mexico, on an Air Force base. My father was stationed in Alamogordo at that time. 1952 it was during the Korean War. Then we moved to Florida to another base, and then back to California, a home base where my parents grew up. We lived in the unincorporated area of Arcadia, of the county, but it was Arcadia mailing address. And I went to Rio Hondo Grammar School, Arroyo High School, and I went to PCC College. And then going fast forward, I've lived in Monrovia for about 35 plus years. Always been in the general area though. And I've been on city council for approximately 15 years.
So did you have a mentor or anyone? You've been obviously now practicing the work for quite some time.
I won't say a specific person, but when I did move to Monrovia, I wanted to know how could I get involved. And at that time, they had the version of the Monrovia Area Partnership. It wasn't called that. It was just a leadership academy. And it was conducted through the Chamber of Commerce at the time. Dick Singer, Charlotte Chamadan were involved. And so I went through the Leadership Academy and learned lots of things about Monrovia and how I could get involved. And so from there, I said, okay, I'm ready. I want to get involved. And shortly after that, I got involved with the community services. I was named as a community services commissioner, served on that commission for 11 years. I also became the president of the chamber shortly before I ran for council. And so I've been generally very, very active in the community.
That's cool. That shows a lot of other sides of the city, I'm sure, as well. This year, running, who are some people behind the curtains, campaign manager, anyone like that?
Well, I'm very unconventional in the way I campaign. And if you've seen my husband that walks down the streets with the little sandwich board on his chest and back. So I don't really have a quote-unquote campaign manager. It's like a group effort. My husband and I do a lot of work together. Ulysses Gutierrez has been helping me out a lot this time. So, and other people, but it's a large group.
Cool, large network. So the uncomfortable question, who is your largest financial contributor?
I have two. And our combination there, it's a Mount Joy Construction Company, and then Judy Scheffler. Mount Joy is Gary Scheffler and his wife Judy. And then it's an insurance broker and Dina Goodman. It's her company and her individually.
Okay, cool. Who are you endorsing for city council this year?
I haven't made, well, yes, I guess I have made formal endorsements, as long as they weren't campaigning against me. Sergio Jimenez and Edward Belden.
Cool. Do you have a slogan or a theme or anything that you're running on this year?
Well, loosely, a vision, commitment, passion, and accessibility. and better together, which is also the theme of our State of the City address.
So how did you come to that slogan, or like what were the thoughts behind it? Like, okay, this sums up what I'd like.
Well,
this
I'm
slogan.
always envisioning how things could be better. I definitely am committed, very, very much committed. And it is a passion, and I've always stuck to accessibility. I put my cell number out there, my personal email. If you contact me, I also am active on Facebook, Nextdoor, Instagram. Not so much Instagram, but you could still contact me through that. And so I really try very hard to keep involved and engaged in the community, go to as many events and things that I possibly can. And I think it's very important to be accessible.
Cool. What, in talking about envisioning, what would you like to see if you could pick one thing Monrovia do better?
Do better?
Do better.
Well, everything you could always do better. But someone asked me recently, what is the biggest challenge? And I think you'll understand and agree on this one. It's being able to engage and educate the community about what is going on, what our challenges are, what our options are, possible solutions. Because if we're all educated and we know what we're up against, then we can have those dialogues. We can have those conversations. But if we're siloed and we don't know the details or what the real issues are, then we have people that are just unhappy, or they're angry, or they want to fight. So I think that's just really vitally important that we have the educational piece. Dylan does a fantastic job on his weekly update.
Yes.
But we can, like I said, you can always make everything better. The better part of it, if everyone was subscribed, because it has such a wealth of information in there. And so if you question something, I'm not saying it has all the answers, but if you have then a question, you can go to someone and you can reach out. That's the other thing. I really believe in making connections for people. Yeah. I might not have the answer, but I sure as heck am going to do my very best to find that answer, to find the person that does have, that can help you out.
No, and I've seen you do that as well. What ideas do you have to help unsheltered folk here in Monrovia?
The question of the century. It hasn't been always that bad for the last 100 years, but it is such a complicated issue. I was very pleased and honored to be a part of the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, their homeless committee. I still am. I'm still the chair. But through that committee, we started investigating how to create a regional housing trust. And with the help of Senator Susan Rubio, she came in, she sponsored a bill, and that we got that through, and it was, I want to say it was SB 751, but we ended up getting $20 million from the creation of this regional housing trust. And it pools monies as well through, there's another funding source that has to do with, you may have heard about a $75 filing a recording fee, and that gets paid at the time of recording certain documents. Well, we get a cut of that money, it comes back, but it's never large enough to do anything with it. So we have been giving that money. It would either go to the county or to us to do something, and we use that to join the Regional Housing Trust, which that maintains a pipeline which has currently it's helped fund 857 units through either a pipeline or a revolving loan program. Mm-hmm. And so through that, and they also have helped fund, to get to the question about the homeless, the temporary or interim shelter situations. Mm-hmm. There are 2 in Baldwin Park, and there's one in Montebello, and there's also one coming online in Azusa. and those cities had the property that they could invest in that, and so there are a number of tiny shelters that help people make that cross into hopefully a permanent housing situation. We just we need to always keep reaching out to people. Everyone's reason for homelessness is different.
Yeah.
Whether it could be the ones that mainly that you see and people are alarmed by do suffer from mental illness or substance abuse.
Yes.
But there's so many other reasons and issues regarding the homelessness. I mean, it could be you're down on your luck, you lost your job, a myriad of things. So we just have to keep on chipping away at that. There's a whole, I don't want to take up all the time.
No, yeah.
There's a citizens initiative right now, in fact, that they're collecting signatures for. And because the Measure H dollars, that whole program is going to sunset soon. So this citizen initiative would take the place of the current Measure H funding, but it will double the amount of tax. It'll go from a quarter cent to a half cent. And it will be a forever tax. The current one is a 10-year life, and it would go to in perpetuity. It also then 33% of it would be guaranteed to fund a LA County housing trust format. So it's a lot, and we were capped out on our tax rate, and so are a lot of other people, and this would raise it above that. A lot of issues, but yes, we need money. It's always about the money in the programs, but accountability and whether or not those programs are efficient. I'm kind of getting off.
No, that's all right. This is your time.
But they're trying to qualify that measure for the November 2024 ballot.
Okay, let's jump, since we're talking about unsheltered, affordable housing. Is that like a reality, or like, I feel like it's kind of more of just a nice sentiment at this time?
Are you talking about affordability?
Yes.
Yes. It's all relative. What is affordable to you?
Sure.
The government sets certain levels of income based on the number of people in your family and the total income, and what are affordable limits, and whether or not you would qualify for a certain funding program. Very complicated, and in my estimation really needs to be looked at and redone, reevaluated. But yes, what's affordable to you and I, or you and me, is not necessarily what's affordable to the person down the street or someone that's really looking for housing.
Yeah, no, affordable is a broad word. Quick question, can empty apartment units be reallocated? Or is that like not a thing that could happen? I'm
not sure what you mean by can they be reallocated?
To become affordable housing, could they be allocated as such, since there haven't been tenants
depending on what the landlord wants to do with it, but depending on what program they may enter into, or if they're doing some type of a renovation, or they're converting things from apartments to condos or something like that. I don't want to say no, but it would depend on what the use of the property was going to be used for, and definitely the owner of the property and what their situation is.
They'd be
just
the one.
like Moda then was converted after the fact, and it's to target the working class people that
Okay. Cool.
Teachers, firemen, those categories.
Got it. Seniors. How can we better serve our seniors here in Monrovia?
Well, I'm a senior, and it's especially like with our community center right now, and I know a lot of them compared to what they have over in Duarte. That is a very extensive facility over there, and they have much more property to work with. But I'm hoping that we can expand some of the programs for seniors. We definitely, and this kind of goes into another direction here, we recently purchased the building that's across the street from the library. It used to be the old J.C. Penney building. There's lots of square footage in there, but it was a unique opportunity and will allow us then to, as we renovate the community center, be able to move all of our programming over to this new building so we can still keep in business. But in the process, too, we want to make sure that we are still able to address the needs of our seniors. Seniors, though, on so many other levels, again, I mentioned the homeless committee had a great presentation at one time about sharing homes, and it did double duty. You know, you've got an empty home, and maybe you need a companion or something to help you around the house. I'd like to see more identify the people that have those situations that maybe they could share with another senior, and it's a win-win. And maybe it's not just with another senior, but maybe it's someone else that needs some housing. But programming and space for programming so that they can have their parties, their meetings, their bingo games, their stretch exercise, and things like that. Would love to have more square footage for them to have their programs. And I know they're always interested in food, and make sure that the lunch program and things like that is something that they really like and enjoy. But the housing thing is a huge, huge thing, because most people by that you're on a fixed income, and prices keep on going up, and they get priced out of housing, and it's tragic. At one of the fastest growing groups in homelessness are seniors, and it's tragic.
Yeah, I hate hearing that. Measure K, talked about last election. I'm sure the funds are still there.
Yes, they are. And at the end of this fiscal year, there should be about $23.5 million.
Okay, so is there a plan to distribute that $23 million?
We definitely want to spend it. We want to spend it, responsibly. And at first, and obviously COVID hit us and whatever, we didn't know what was going to be up. And then we had a fire, and then we had floods. And I know we had held off for a considerable amount of time because we didn't know what was going to happen with Canyon Park. And that is truly the gem of our foothills, and we want to be able to get that up and open again. It looks like the funding is pretty much in line, and we should have enough, but just because somebody has said that we are going to be awarded doesn't mean we have it in our hot little hand. So depending on how that goes, and the state budget is, some of the monies will be coming through the state, some of them are federal, and so the timing on that, not quite sure. So we just recently met on that, and what we said was we wanted to hold just a little bit longer. But we definitely, and we also have projects coming up for the enhancements at the library park. We've got programs in the works for recreation park, for the community center, and lots of real community-centric use that we want to be able, if we need to, be able to help with helping fund some of those projects. So. Long story short, no, we don't have a specific spending plan right now. It's still on hold. And also whether or not some of those monies might be used to add to reserves. Our credit rating has been increased because we've been so fiscally responsible, and we've got money in the bank. So
cool. We're in a financially good way.
Yes.
I love the redevelopment as thought, because I grew up here with the Man 6 round table, you know what I mean? Like that area. I know you mentioned the parks being renovated or redone somewhat, and a few have already happened with you as mayor. Redevelopment to certain areas. We have Myrtle Street, but could we have more, or is that just not?
When you say could we have more?
More social places to hang. Like I kind of brought up the Man 6 Theater, there was the pizza spot right there. Now it's the Burlington Coat Factory, and not really as much of a social hang, if you would.
Well, I know that we're always looking for, partners to develop with. We don't own the property, obviously, but people that want to do business in Monrovia, we are more than happy to come on down and talk with us as to how we might do that. In our Canyon Park, when it gets renovated, there are going to be more areas that are going to be developed for more community or social interaction. Station Square, obviously, we've really been trying to energize the band shell down there, and hopefully as the area is developed, we'll have also the depot that will get an end user, and that will be obviously a great spot. But we're doing the concerts in the park now and other activities and things like that. But
Cool. Okay.
and public art, would love to have more public art.
I agree.
That's
And where
that's
at?
a passion for me.
Awesome.
I'm involved in MAFA, Monrovia Association of Fine Arts. So
I'm a fan of art, so I'm here for it. As we are a little under 10 minutes to go, do you think City Council and the school board could collaborate better? What would that look like?
yes, I think, again, everything can always be better. In the past, we did have, through the chamber, there was a business education and community network, outreach network that they used to have, Beacon, and that was representatives from the schools, business, and the city, and how we could all work together. We also acknowledged efforts by the community, community service, beautification. We gave out school awards for the teacher and employee of the month, things like that. But it really provided an avenue where we could work together to collaborate. We wanted to look, when Susan Hirsch was alive, really we're looking for something that was called MCAN. And we really, really, really wanted to have a job development for young people. And it never came to fruition, but, to the day she died, we were talking about, wanting to make that happen. We also had, we used to meet the chamber, city, and schools, the superintendent, the president of the school board, the mayor, city manager, and the chamber director and the president of the chamber used to meet. And I'd like to see those. Maybe we don't need to meet every month, but but I would like to see those come back. But at any rate, great things happen when we work together.
I agree. And that's why I asked. What's the best way you think we could bring more jobs to the city of Monrovia?
Well, we do a pretty good job. We are very diversified in our opportunities in Monrovia. Obviously, through our adult school, absolutely, they have great offerings there for retraining and things like that, or just training for jobs and things like that. I think workforce investment is huge and all a part of it. You want to talk about the homeless issue? We need to all be all hands on deck. It's got to be city, local government, schools, and higher up in government. We have to all be there to chip in. But I'd like to be able to put a Band-Aid or put in the flow into homelessness, and we might be able to do that better through intensive workforce investment and school programs and things like that. That people are ready for the job market when they're either they need to retrain or learn a new skill, or when they graduate, go to college, whatever. It's everybody on board, and it's a cycle. And so I think we should concentrate a lot on mental health, workforce investment, and try to stem the tide of people flowing into homelessness. I'm not saying that's the answer, but instead of waiting until it's a disaster on this end. So
cool. Something going on in town right now that makes, I know we missed the All-American City.
Yeah.
But what's something here in town that you feel is like, this is why we should have been an All-American City?
Well, I think we should have
Of course.
on All America City. Their emphasis was specifically had to do with youth involvement. We gave them involvement for youth across the board, but they were looking like maybe for a specific program that really highlighted. They didn't want to see how great we were overall. And that was, I know obviously I'm a little prejudiced here, but quite clearly, I think in terms of what we showed them and the involvement of our youth, how it all came together, like I said, better together, how could you miss? But they didn't see it that way.
Okay.
And some of the programs that were highlighted at that event, really were no greater than some of the great things that we do. So, but I thought we were super.
Cool. Well, I've got a question from the Monrovia High School Free Speech Club.
Oh, okay.
How have you personally upheld the right to free speech?
Well, because I don't, and that's the other thing, in terms of endorsement and things like that, I don't cut anyone off. I don't care. I represent everyone in Monrovia, and I go out of my way to make sure that you have the right to either communicate with me, have access to me. I don't cut anyone off. Obviously, I'm not going to let myself be abused, but it's very important to me to uphold that right to have access and not be dictated to or appear that I'm for one party or another.
Cool. So what is one thing, if you could hang your hat on right now, that you are most proud of doing as mayor?
As mayor?
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of things in terms of being a part of a team too, but that All America City event, that was just absolutely fantastic. My involvement with the San Gabriel Valley COG and the Regional Housing Trust, and also it's just about ready to fly if it hasn't already. The San Gabriel Valley CARE Mobile Crisis Unit, and that's something that it's a pilot program through the COG, and it will provide, it's not full-time, but it's a step in the right direction. It will allow mobile crisis response for people having mental health issues, and I hope that really is able to take off. But again, it's pilot and it's about money, but I would like to be able to expand that. And also having the discussion, I'll finish that. The discussion through, we haven't approved it yet, but a program called Care Solace, which really is a concierge for mental health services that would be available to all Monrovians. And so they would help them, connect them with mental health services, things like that. Yeah.
Couple things, yeah.
And just the overall, the purchase of the new building, being a part of that, and looking forward to all the great either renovations or additions we'll have to either our community center, our library, and be able to forward those programs. So.
Cool. Well, I want to give you time now. If there's anything that you would like to talk about that I did not mention. You have been mayor, so I know this is a different when you're running again, people can say, well, she's been it, maybe something else. Or, love what we're seeing, would like to see more.
In terms of wanting to continue on, I feel I've got a lot more I would like to accomplish, and I was on the Los Angeles County Blue Ribbon Commission on Homelessness, which we analyzed the homelessness situation and Measure H as well. We made recommendations to the County Board of Supervisors, and one of those was to create an executive board, which would give our cities a voice, which did not happen before. And so I just recently was elected by the 31 cities to be the representative for the San Gabriel Valley. And I'm working with the COG now of how we can work that out so I can be a conduit for all those 31 cities. So we have a voice, though, in how our Measure H dollars get spent in the homeless services and how those are divided out. delivered, and the accountability. Are they efficient? Because it's not just all about the city of Los Angeles or the county of Los Angeles. I realize they have huge problems, but so do we. We've got problems too, and we deserve a voice. So I want the opportunity to serve on that executive committee. Like I said, it was just ratified, and I understand we're supposed to have a meeting in first meeting in February. So I really would like the opportunity to be that voice for us, for our cities, so that we're not ignored. And we could go on and talk about homeless counts and things like that, and your head would blow up.
No, thank you, Mayor Shevlin, for coming in. Appreciate your time. Now it is your time. March 5th is coming. Your camera is over here. If you want to give your phone number, your website, and let the people of Monrovia know why they should vote for you on March 5th.
Monrovia, I serve you. I am your public servant, and I want to continue in that position as your mayor. Please vote for me on March 5th, 2024, and I will continue to set the tone and be there for you. I am accessible. My number is area code 626-253-0072, and my email, very easy, BeckyShevlin@gmail.com. I'm here for you, to serve you, and to promote your interest and your needs. So with that, thank you very much. And again, vote for Becky.
Thank you again to all our candidates for joining us. Conversations with the Candidates 2024. My name is Chris Lose. It's been an honor doing this. Each candidate was reached out to and given the same amount of time to speak freely and let you know why you should vote for them on March 5th.